My name is Martha Wilson. 2 years ago, I retired from my 35-year career as an elementary school librarian and now live a quiet life in Cherry Creek North, a suburb of Denver. I live alone in a 2-story house with a spacious garden, but I rarely feel lonely. Since losing my husband David to cancer 4 years ago, my daughter Jennifer and grandson Ethan have become the light of my life. My days always begin with tending to my garden. In spring, tulips and sweet peas bloom in abundance, and in summer, the fragrance of roses fills the entire garden. Gardening is one of my greatest pleasures. On nice days, I often enjoy reading on my large wooden deck. My love for books, cultivated during my many years as a librarian, remains unchanged since retirement. My daughter Jennifer is a successful freelance graphic designer. Her house is about a 10-minute walk from mine. It's a newly built 4-bedroom home, with one room on the second floor serving as her office. This work-from-home setup allows her to balance her career with raising her 8-year-old son, Ethan. Jennifer's husband Michael works as a senior engineer at Google's Boulder office. With his clean-cut appearance and gentle demeanor, he's well regarded by those around him. Since their marriage 7 years ago, they seem to have built an ideal family life. They're members of the Denver Country Club and actively participate in charitable activities. Ethan is very attached to me, his grandmother. He's an inquisitive boy who loves science and invention, and he excels in school. He has a keen eye for detail, and his sharp observations sometimes surprise me. On weekday mornings, while Ethan heads to the local public elementary school, Jennifer starts her design work at home. Michael usually goes to the office but sometimes works from home. I tend to my garden and household chores, occasionally participating in online book clubs or volunteering at the Denver Botanic Gardens. My activities at First Presbyterian Church have also been an important part of my routine for 20 years. Jennifer and I have a standing agreement to meet at least twice a week. She stops by my house between work assignments, and we chat over tea about Ethan's school activities and her recent work projects. Sometimes she comes to me with serious concerns, and on those occasions, I bake my specialty apple pie and listen to her carefully. We often spend weekends as a family. On Sundays, we have lunch together at my house. We might have barbecues on the terrace or gather around a homemade roast beef. After meals, Ethan brings his science experiment equipment and shows us his new discoveries. Sometimes we enjoy picnics at Washington Park or go shopping and watch movies at the Cherry Creek Shopping Center. I have no financial worries. Along with my pension and savings from 35 years of teaching, rental income, and the assets my husband left behind, I'm well provided for. Jennifer's family also lives comfortably with Michael's stable income and Jennifer's freelance earnings. Cherry Creek North, where we live, is known as a quiet, upscale residential area. On holidays, neighbors exchange friendly greetings while walking their dogs, and there are safe parks where children can play. My house is equipped with the latest security system, so I feel secure living alone. Every Thursday morning, it's my habit to buy fresh vegetables and fruits at the Cherry Creek Farmers Market. Jennifer often joins me to carefully select organic ingredients. Afterward, we sometimes enjoy treats with Ethan at Sweet Queen's ice cream. On the surface, it seemed like the perfect family life. However, no one could have predicted that this peaceful existence was about to be severely shaken. The changes began 3 months ago. At a Sunday lunch, I noticed Jennifer's unusual lack of appetite. She barely touched my signature pot roast, which she normally enjoys. She just stared blankly at the green bean casserole and mashed potatoes on her plate. "I've been having some headaches lately," she said, but at the time, I thought it was just temporary fatigue. However, the headaches worsened with each passing day. During our twice-weekly tea times, I began noticing Jennifer's deteriorating condition. Her usually well-organized desk was becoming cluttered with scattered papers. "I can't sleep at night," she confided with an exhausted expression. She would lie awake until 2 or 3 a.m., and even when morning came, her body felt heavy and her head foggy. Initially, we thought it was work stress due to overlapping design project deadlines. The symptoms gradually became more serious. The chronic headaches transformed into intense pain, as if someone was hammering inside her head. Dizziness and nausea set in, sometimes making it difficult even to stand. Looking at computer screens caused blurred vision and severe nausea. Work that she had previously handled perfectly now required multiple revisions, as she couldn't maintain concentration even for simple design modifications. One day, she called me, her voice trembling. She had been forced to postpone an important meeting with a major corporate client. "I can't even look at the screen for 30 minutes. Her words made my anxiety grow rapidly. Our first visit was to Dr. Johnson's clinic, highly regarded in the Cherry Creek area. He had been our family doctor for 20 years and knew Jennifer's health history since childhood. Detailed blood tests were conducted, but surprisingly, all values were within normal range. "I'll prescribe some general pain medication. Let's monitor the situation carefully, and if there's no improvement, please come back," the doctor said. However, the prescribed medication didn't help her symptoms at all. Michael appeared to be playing the role of a devoted husband perfectly on the surface. He accompanied her to hospital appointments between work commitments and fully covered the expensive medical bills. He drove Ethan to and from school, prepared meals, and cleaned in the evenings. On weekends, he would shop for groceries at the local Whole Foods. From my perspective, he seemed to be a faultless husband. However, I began to sense something unnatural in his perfection. His excessive involvement in hospital matters was particularly concerning. His private consultations with doctors were unusually long, sometimes lasting over an hour. Regarding treatment plans, he would bring up surprisingly technical opinions for a layperson, occasionally engaging in heated discussions with doctors. His late-night hospital visits were also puzzling. Michael, who normally returned home by 9 p.m. even on busy workdays, was increasingly staying at the hospital room until 11 p.m. I often saw him making phone calls in the hallway after Jennifer had fallen asleep. His hushed conversations seemed somehow guilty. The symptoms became more severe with each passing day. Jennifer started missing deadlines for her graphic design projects. Meetings with long-term clients were repeatedly postponed due to her poor health. Her freelance income plummeted, which added to her stress and suffering. Ethan was keenly aware of his mother's changes. "Mom, are you okay?" he would ask worriedly, his eyes reflecting deep concern. He could no longer do homework with his mother as usual after school. Weekends were no longer filled with picnics at Washington Park or ice cream treats at Sweet Queen's. When her symptoms showed no improvement, it was decided she should undergo an MRI at the University of Colorado Hospital. The examination lasted from early morning until evening. Jennifer felt strong anxiety about having to lie still in the narrow tube while listening to loud machine noises. However, the results showed no abnormalities. Even detailed neurological examinations couldn't identify the cause, and she was eventually referred to a psychiatric department. "It's likely stress-related symptoms," came the vague diagnosis, causing Jennifer's expression to darken further. I visited the hospital room almost daily. Each time I saw my daughter lying there receiving 4 drips, I searched for traces of her former vibrant self. I missed her lively expression from when we used to volunteer together at the Denver Botanic Gardens. "Mom, I'm scared because I don't know what's causing these symptoms." She would cry in my arms, and I made a firm resolve to solve this mystery. Doctors kept proposing new tests. Blood tests, urinalysis, EEG, and even full-body CT scans. With each test, Jennifer's strength diminished. Yet the results were always the same. "We find no abnormalities." Each time we heard those words, I could see the light of hope fading from Jennifer's eyes. Michael's behavior began showing subtle changes. He was constantly glued to his latest iPhone, frequently exchanging messages with someone. After discussions with doctors, he was often seen making phone calls in the hallway with an unnaturally hushed voice. His expression seemed somewhat restless. Even his occasional smiles appeared somewhat artificial. However, at that time, I couldn't understand what it all meant. I only felt an increasing need to do something about the situation while watching my beloved daughter suffer. My prayer time at First Presbyterian Church was filled with prayers for my daughter's recovery. That Sunday afternoon was typical of Denver, with clear blue skies. I was heading to visit Jennifer with Ethan as usual. Room 1423 on the 14th floor of the University of Colorado Hospital, a private room with a magnificent view of the Rocky Mountains through its large windows. Shortly after 3 p.m., we received a call from Michael. "I'm sorry, but I have an urgent work matter." There was a hint of panic in his voice over the phone. I had heard he'd been working more weekends lately, but I felt uncomfortable with his prioritizing work over visiting his hospitalized wife. I thought I could faintly hear background music that sounded more like a store than an office. When we arrived at the hospital room, Jennifer was lying in bed. Clear fluid was dripping into her arm, drop by drop. By the window, there was a vase of gerbers that Ethan had brought last week, their vivid orange color adding a splash of brightness to the predominantly white room. Jennifer's complexion was still poor, her cheeks hollow, with dark circles under her eyes. Still, she managed a faint smile at the sight of Ethan. "Mom, look. I brought the project I made at school." Ethan proudly took out an experiment kit he had made in science class. It was a small electrical circuit experiment kit where red and blue LED lights alternated flashing. The wiring was neatly arranged, with lights systematically blinking on the breadboard. For a moment, a mother's pride in her son's interest in science returned to Jennifer's face. The teacher said it was really well done. Just as Ethan was standing beside the bed, about to explain his experiment kit, something happened. In his excitement, his gestures became larger, and part of the kit rolled under the bed. "Oh!" he exclaimed and immediately reached under the bed. That's when his expression suddenly changed. "Grandma, there's something strange under here." There was clear fear in Ethan's voice. The fact that he, usually calm and curious, made such a sound filled me with strong anxiety. I crouched down next to him and looked under the bed. What I saw made my blood run cold. Under the bed was an unfamiliar black box-like device. About the size of a desktop computer, it had what appeared to be industrial cooling fans attached to its sides. The fans were spinning at high speed, emitting an eerie hum. The surface bore a warning label reading "Danger, High Voltage," and what appeared to be a manufacturing serial number. When I brought my hand near it, I could feel it was abnormally hot. It was clearly different from the other medical equipment in the room. While the heart monitor and force stand had hospital asset tags, this device did not. And a terrifying thought crossed my mind that this device might be related to Jennifer's unexplained symptoms. There was no time to hesitate. While holding Ethan tightly, I decided to call 911. "Emergency. I've discovered a suspicious device in room 1423, 14th floor of the University of Colorado Hospital." My hands were shaking as I explained the situation to the operator. The time was 3:27 p.m. That time remains vividly etched in my memory. The police response was surprisingly quick. Within 12 minutes of the call, 2 uniformed officers arrived at the hospital room. 5 minutes later, they were joined by 2 detectives from the Denver Police Department's Major Cases Unit and an FBI device specialist. The specialist's expression tightened as soon as he saw the device. His eyes reflected intense tension. "This is an industrial high-power electromagnetic wave generator. Its use in medical facilities is strictly prohibited. Moreover, it's been modified to output several times the normal power." The specialist's words froze the air in the room. Officers immediately began securing the scene. Yellow tape was strung up in the hallway, hospital security staff gathered, and patients in surrounding rooms were relocated. Evidence photography was conducted by skilled forensic staff. With a professional DSLR camera in hand, they meticulously photographed every angle of the device, from overall views to minute details. Areas showing signs of modification were carefully documented using macro lenses. The specialist took detailed notes while checking the device's condition and considering safe removal methods. This device has been operating continuously for at least 2 months, judging from the fan wear and dust accumulation patterns. The specialist's words sent a pain through my chest. It matched perfectly with when Jennifer's symptoms began. Review of the hospital's security camera footage began immediately. Police crowded into the hospital's central monitoring room, scrutinizing 2 months' worth of footage. They were particularly focused on identifying any unusual nighttime activity and determining when the device was installed. Surveillance cameras were positioned at both ends of the hallway and near the nurse's station, recording 24 hours a day. Interviews with nurses and attending physicians were conducted simultaneously. "We'll need to check all records, floor entry logs, visitor lists, cleaning staff schedules," the detective informed the hospital staff. Everything from medical staff shift schedules to visitor records and cleaning service logs became subject to investigation. Throughout this, Ethan clung to me, watching the situation with a frightened expression. I could feel his small body trembling slightly. "Grandma, is Mom going to be okay?" I couldn't find appropriate words to answer his question. Jennifer remained dazed, unable to comprehend the situation. Her expression mixed confusion with fear. The device removal operation proceeded with extreme caution. Under the specialist's direction, officers from the Special Equipment Handling Unit, wearing thick gloves and protective suits, carefully removed the device. Exposing someone to such high-power electromagnetic waves at close range for an extended period, this amounts to attempted murder. The specialist's stern words sparked anger within me. Police continued thorough evidence collection throughout the hospital room. Photographing walls and floors, collecting fingerprints, gathering fiber samples. Each step was conducted carefully and precisely. Analysis of security camera footage, verification of entry records, interviews with medical staff. Each team member carried out their duties with high tension. And Michael's cell phone remained unreachable. His absence, supposedly at work, now took on an extremely suspicious meaning. Detectives urgently began tracking his movements, carefully following his behavioral patterns through hospital entry records and security camera footage. Outside the window, the evening sky was beginning to turn red. The Rocky Mountains cast long shadows, and police radio communications echoed through the hospital corridors. The investigation proceeding in the 14th floor hospital room was just the first step toward a truth that would forever change our family's life. From the day after the discovery, the police investigation intensified. Multiple fingerprints were detected in the hospital room where the suspicious device was found. After excluding fingerprints of cleaning staff and medical personnel, Michael's fingerprints were found on the device's power unit. Furthermore, hospital security cameras had recorded Michael entering and leaving the room alone late at night. "Your daughter's husband frequently visited outside normal visiting hours," the night duty head nurse told investigators. "He often came late at night and would stay alone in the room for over an hour each time." We were a bit concerned. Investigators tracking the device's purchase route discovered an online used equipment trading site. While the transaction was anonymous, Bitcoin payment records linked to Michael's cryptocurrency account emerged. Additionally, security camera footage at the P.O. box used to receive the device showed Michael's image. "This is conclusive evidence," the lead detective said. "But something's still missing. There must be another collaborator behind this too-perfect plan." The decisive evidence was found during a search at Google's Boulder office. Email exchanges discovered on Michael's work computer revealed shocking contents. The recipient was a young engineer in the same department, Sarah Jenkins. Their relationship had begun 3 years ago. "Every day is painful," Michael wrote in his first email. "I want to escape this marriage. But I can't get divorced. More than half my assets would be gone in alimony and child support. I want to start a new life with you." Sarah's response was even more shocking. "Darling, I have a perfect plan." With her experience at a medical equipment manufacturer, she proposed misusing that knowledge. "We can make it look like a natural death without anyone suspecting. This way, you'll receive the full insurance payout too." The plan was executed in stages. First, they installed a small device under the bedroom floor. "If we activate it only at night, it will start with insomnia," Sarah's email stated, to which Michael replied, perfect. When symptoms began appearing, they moved a more powerful device under her home office. A designer getting sick while working from home isn't unusual. No one will question it. The plan eventually moved to the hospital. There's a more efficient method, Sarah suggested. In the hospital, we can expose her 24 hours a day. We can ensure death by exhaustion within a few months. The laptop contained detailed plans for life after Jennifer's death. The insurance payout will be over $3 million, Michael had calculated. We can start a new life in Los Angeles with those funds. Most shocking were the conversations about Ethan. I'll give up custody of my son, Michael had written. We don't need any obstacles in our new life together. To which Sarah replied, that's a wise decision. It's for the best, for our happiness. Once all the evidence was gathered, the police moved swiftly. Officers stormed into Google's Boulder office at 10 a.m. on a weekday. Michael was quietly arrested while working at his desk, as colleagues looked on. Simultaneously, Sarah was detained on conspiracy charges on another floor. In the interrogation room, Michael spoke with unexpected calmness. This was a plan to let my beloved wife sleep peacefully, he said, as if trying to justify his actions. Jennifer has talent. But that talent was only holding her back. Her existence was interfering with my new life with Sarah. I thought this was the most merciful method. Sarah's interrogation, on the other hand, revealed more emotional confessions. That family was too hypocritical, she spat out. I couldn't stand Jennifer playing the perfect wife and ideal mother. Our love doesn't need such old-fashioned family structures. Michael is mine. I won't let anyone have him. When Jennifer heard about the arrests, she was overcome with intense anger and deep sorrow. He didn't just try to kill me, she said with a trembling voice. He was even willing to abandon Ethan. Why? We were supposed to be a family. She immediately decided to file for divorce and began preparing to seek sole custody of Ethan. According to the indictment, Michael and Sarah were charged with attempted murder, assault, and property damage. The trial lasted 3 months, with prosecutors presenting evidence of meticulously planned attempted murder, email exchanges, device purchase records, security camera footage, and diagnoses of Jennifer's severe health damage. The courtroom confrontation was even more shocking. When Jennifer took the witness stand, Michael's composure finally broke. You tried to take not only my life but also Ethan's future, Jennifer testified, while Ethan trembled slightly in the gallery. Dad, why did you try to abandon us? At his son's question, Michael was speechless for the first time. When the lawyer asked, why such an elaborate plan? Sarah responded with unexpected intensity. Because this was the most efficient method, she said, smirking in court. Health damage from electromagnetic waves is difficult to prove. It was a perfect plan. If only that child hadn't noticed. Michael's final statement was surprisingly businesslike. Yes, I approved the plan. But Sarah executed it. I only followed her suggestions. Hearing these words, Sarah's expression contorted. We were supposed to be in love. Yet you blame everything on me. You coward. The judge handed down a severe sentence. Michael received 25 years in prison for attempted murder, and Sarah got 20 years as an accomplice. The defendant's actions constitute an extremely malicious crime that exploited the most fundamental relationships of trust within a family, the verdict stated. After the sentencing, Jennifer tearfully told me, "Mom, every day was like hell. But because you and Ethan noticed, I'm alive. Now I want to walk a new path in life." The road to recovery wasn't smooth. While the headaches and insomnia caused by electromagnetic waves gradually improved, healing the emotional wounds took much more time. Whenever Ethan worriedly asked, "Mom, is your head hurting again?" Jennifer would force a smile and say, "It's okay, it's not like the pain from before." We found a new home near my house in Cherry Creek North. It's a spacious house with a garden, conveniently located for Ethan's school commute. "We can make lots of new memories in this house," Jennifer said. On moving day, as soon as Ethan entered his new room, his eyes lit up and he declared, "This will be my laboratory. I want to study more about the machines that hurt Mom. Maybe then I can think of ways to prevent others from experiencing the same thing." Those words made Jennifer and me embrace each other and cry. Our painful experience was transforming into new hope within our grandson. "Ethan, you're my pride and joy," Jennifer hugged her son. Our bonds grew stronger through this ordeal. At our weekly Sunday family meals, Ethan enthusiastically talks about school events and new scientific discoveries. While having barbecues on the terrace, Jennifer whispers, "This is true happiness." Volunteering at the Denver Botanic Gardens has become an important part of our routine. When Ethan notices, "Hey Mom, this flower looks a bit weak," Jennifer smiles gently. "Yes, but it's okay. If we nurture it with care, it will surely bloom beautifully." A year after the incident, Jennifer began working with a local domestic violence support group. "If my experience can help someone," she says, "even painful experiences can be transformed into strength to save others." I learned that from Ethan. Ethan won first prize at his school's science fair. His project researching the effects of electromagnetic waves on the human body impressed the judges. Watching him proudly declare at the awards ceremony, "I started this research for Mom," we could see how much he had grown. Sometimes we still remember those nightmare-like days. But each time, we hold each other tightly and say, "We have each other." That's what matters most. I'm convinced that our family bonds have become deeper and stronger because of that ordeal.